check, 1, 2. How we doing, Comic-Con? Come on, guys, that was like the third one. We're like building up to it and everything. How we doing, Comic-Con? That's what I like to hear, ladies and gentlemen. Keep that energy up because you've been waiting for it, and it's time. You already know what time it is. Why am I beating around the bush? Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome two very special people to this stage. Ladies and gentlemen, you know them from the show of Chainsaw Man. Make some noise for Ryan Colt Levy and Sarah Wiedenheft. Make some noise!
First off,
Hello,
wow,
everyone.
that was cool.
That was, I feel like we just had like a professional wrestling entrance, and I totally. You know what? Can we do that over? I'm gonna body slam you through the couch.
Okay, can I grab a
And in
chair?
this corner! How we doing, y'all? How we doing? I always start off the same way. How we doing? How we had the food? Are we enjoying the valley?
Which question should I answer first?
Anyone that you want.
Yes. I am having a great time. I got in really late last night. Hey everybody, first off, you all are such beautiful. I got here super late last night because my flight kept getting delayed, so I didn't get in until like 2:30 in the morning. So currently I've seen the hotel and this convention center, and they're both lovely, and everyone has been super kind. But I'm really excited. Does anybody have dinner recommendations? Good, okay, got it.
We have too many. That we're
Okay,
like in choice paralysis.
I felt that, yeah, exactly. There was choice paralysis. Okay. Because I get very excited about local cuisine everywhere I go. So I'll report back.
We have plenty of cuisine, but what about you, Sarah? How are we doing?
I am good. Potato? Oh, there's
Potato?
deal.
Oh, okay, noted.
Oh, okay, got it.
And what about
Lots
your,
of
your
butter.
stay so far? How's it been?
Yeah, I got in at like 12:30. Yeah, he was originally on our flight, and then he switched over to a different one.
To what I thought was an earlier flight.
Big
Because my
mistake.
flight, so look, hear me
What
out.
you don't do is mess around in DFW.
Clearly. Because my
it's gonna get
flight
delayed.
was already getting delayed, which is the one we were on, and I was just already sitting for hours at DFW being like, I just gotta get there, man. And then I looked for other flights, and they're like, here's one flying out at 9 p.m. I was like, well, gee golly, that's way earlier for sure.
Take it.
And then the second I switched it over, it was like delayed, even later than the other one. I'm like,
Oh no. Yeah, unfortunately, what I have found with DFW is if your original flight got delayed or is canceled even, all the other flights are gonna go around like that. Yeah, it's gonna get later. None of them are good.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some questions for y'all right here, but audience members, I know y'all have some too, so get those cooking, get those ready. I'll be with you in a bit. And by a bit, I mean like maybe a minute, because I see some of y'all like already kind of twitching at the notion of it. But right out the gate, I mean, I can already see the chemistry that y'all have up here.
with this one?
Yeah.
Like, is Chainsaw Man y'all's first project together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because Sarah is a phenom. She's in everything, and I feel like I've been working with like Crunchy and Funimation for a couple of years at that point, but somehow we never crossed paths in a job. But we did actually meet. It was about maybe like a year before Chainsaw Man, the auditions, or like maybe like 8 months or something.
Yeah.
And we met at a convention where we were both there for different characters and stuff, because now we get to get paired at these shows together because of the show, which is great. But every now and then you'll be at cons with just an assortment of other voice actors. So in this case, it was the two of us and Sarah Natacheni, who's the voice of Ash Ketchum. Right. And that is just a crazy trio to put together.
That was the first time I met both of those delightful souls.
I think that was our first time all meeting that way. And the thing about Sarah is that, not realizing what we were going to have a year and change later, but we immediately met, and I like to say that we had the idiot sibling energy right away, where that dynamic was just kind of like born there. So when I got the call and found out that she was gonna play Power, I was like, oh, we're so in the bag here. We're
Match
perfect.
made in heaven.
Similar feelings when I heard you were gonna be Denji. I was like,
that chaos was just ready to get stirred. Like, was there anything you had to like? It seems like it was kind of effortless what grew between y'all. But is there anything that when it came to being in the booth? I'm not sure if y'all ended up like sharing a room, or it was really just a matter of I go in, record this, I go and record that. How was it? Amplifying that and doing that idiot friendship, best friends, putting that on the screen.
It was really freaking fun, first off. But no, we were never in the same room, although it feels like it,
We don't even live in the same state. I'm in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and she's over here, so yeah.
Born and raised Texas?
No.
Or where would he live?
Yeah.
Down this area? Wiedenheft.
It's complicated.
Right.
Dad was in the Air Force, and Mom is from Denmark, so Dad's here, obviously. And then they had me in the Netherlands, and then they took me to a third world country after that. It's Florida. It's like, how do you go from the Netherlands to Florida? Panama City, Florida. Anyways, guys, he finally apologized, my dad, to me for that. I'm like, thank you. I've needed that for 30 years.
We actually don't record, but even in general, even if we lived in the same state, when you're dubbing anime, because of just the technical process of it, it doesn't really benefit to record at the same time. So really what will happen is, depending on the schedule and who can make it in at what time during the day, one of us will record before the other. So, you okay over there?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna put my bobble down.
You never, when she's moving around, I don't know if she's gonna like end up stabbing me or what. And, like, there's some shit that you got.
That's always the
You're gonna be too
She's
short.
preparing the ice bucket to dump on my head.
I'm glad I'm over here.
You'll notice throughout the weekend that she'll throw projectiles at me from her booth.
Poor Aaron in
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
I get in the mood sometimes.
No, so you will record whatever the thing is, you'll record your part first, or she will, and our director, Mike, who is just an extraordinary human, and really has a great sense of balancing energy and tone, and every director's job when they're doing this is to basically control all of that chaos, because you're never going to get everyone together all at once. So they're the ones making sure that it all feels like we're in the same room, and one of my favorite things that people have asked us about this show is, do we all record together, and is it improv a lot? And the answer to both is no, and I actually love that because it means that it's giving off the impression that it is, and that just is a great sign of Jessica, who is our incredible ADR writer, and Mike, who is just he's trusting us as actors, but he knows exactly how to nudge the thing to just get it all to fit in the right place together. So it's a really cool puzzle to put together.
The reverse Jenga tower.
And it's
Reverse Jenga tower.
putting the pieces back in. And Sarah, do you have anything to add to that, Sarah, as far as making a little more order out of that chaos, and being able to harness that improv feel, but just using a script? Is there something special you see in that? Something that you just find very memorable about the show?
I really don't know how to add to that, to be honest. It was a lot of fun, I will say that. But I feel like I answered it before. I'm sorry.
No, totally
My
fine.
brain's also kind of mashed potatoes right now. Forgive me. Mashed potato. Oh my god, that sounds so good right now.
I mean, we do have a lot of mashed potatoes
Stop.
down here. But y'all were talking about how ridiculous it can be sometimes. So what's the most ridiculous scene? And maybe not just Chainsaw Man related, just in general, that y'all have found yourself doing and that sticks with you. And it's when I need to do the absurd, I need to remember I did that, so I can definitely do this.
Oh man, well my very first job, period, doing this professionally was, and I'm clearing my throat because I have to, and also because of the subject matter. When I first started auditioning and sending stuff out, I was pursuing on camera and theater and all of that, and I got this voiceover reel made, and I started sending it out to all of the studios that were doing video games and anime dubbing and what have you. And one studio did a lot of dubbing for live action film and TV. So anything like the shows that are on Netflix or any of the streaming services where maybe it's from Germany or France or wherever, and it could be a rom-com or a war film, whatever, but exactly. And,
Period.
and just like with anime, they'll do English dubbing for those as well. And I sent my animation reel over to this place, not knowing that they did this way more grounded thing, but it was just what I had. So I get a phone call from the casting director one day, like out of the blue, and she was like, "Hey, I really like your reel. I just wanted to let you know we don't really do animated stuff here." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. Like, I'll reach out to you guys when I have something prepared." There was like a pause, and she's like, "You know what? I like your voice. Come in for an audition." And I was like, "Okay."
All right.
Just like that.
I was like, "Great." So I went in, and this was like summer of 2019, so it was before the pandemic. So even voiceover auditions, they were just like come to the studio and audition in person. So it was in like a giant theater room with like a screen like that big. And they had, because normally you're doing like these tiny little rooms.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was like the engineer was like all the way in the back with his whole setup. And the show was like this really sweet French rom-com, but it had like a very kind of sexy spin on it. And the idea was like the main character was essentially a male prostitute who was like a musician who was just like a broke artist, and like that's just what he did for fun.
Yeah, I
But
can
then he
see it.
falls in love with a girl that he's like, she like gets set up with him through like her birthday party, like kind of classic rom-com thing. Anyway,
I see the vision.
point being, point being, I'm auditioning for this main character, and so I end up getting the part, and it was one of those things where like I was just so green, and I'm like, I'm just happy to work. I have a job immediately, and they were like, and there's 2 seasons already, so we're just gonna do a full 2 seasons. I was like, oh my god, I have like months worth of work just on this one job. And so I go in and do the first session and the second session. There's like a full-blown sex scene, and and while it wasn't like graphic, it was like an intimate scene with plenty of audible sounds and things, and
No
they
way.
didn't have like.
Is this you said it was animated or it was live action? Ah.
But they were like, we don't have any of that in the M&E or anything. So like, they're like, we got to do all that. Like, we got to cover that. So, like instantaneously in my body, I was like, well, that's show business, I guess. Like, this do or die moment is like, am I
You
going to
wanna be a
commit to this?
star?
And like, when you're dubbing stuff, like especially because like. It's exactly. It's like it's you and the microphone, and that's it. And like in this scenario, I'm in this giant theater room, and normally when you're doing it, it's like you're in your little box, and then like in another room, there's the engineer and the director. In this scenario, I'm like standing like this, the screen's here, and then back there is the engineer and the director and like a producer. There's like 5 people just standing behind me, and I'm just like this, and I have this. I think it was like a 3 or 4 minute long scene. And
Probably
I had
felt
to
like 20.
basically like roll down my sleeve and use my arm as my partner, and I just had to go to town on this thing and just like, and you have to make it sound real, because it's also like this live action, like it's not animated or big in any way.
Yeah.
So I'm just fully committing to this thing, and then like finish, and I'm kind of like, we wrap, and I'm like,
I think I need aftercare.
like the room's dead silent, and so once we got through that, I was like, I think I can do anything after this. I think I'll be okay with,
Hey, I think that's the pipeline. You start from that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
then you work your way up.
It was a learning curve for sure.
I started with Honey Pop.
That's you can do that. You can do anything. And you're talking about those like moments where it's just kind of like, all right, was that good? Was that not? Well, was there a time for both of y'all like where whether it be an audition or a take where it's like, yep, that's the one taker. I feel so confident in this. This is so me. And like you sometimes even go back and rewatch that scene and you're like, oh yeah, I did good.
You're talking to actors, man. All we do is criticize ourselves.
Yeah, that's so true.
Anytime I look back on something, I usually think about like how I would do it now, like differently, or like there's always, because so much of it is you only have so many bites at the apple when we're doing this stuff. You're on such a tight timeline. I'm proud of the work that we did in it, but it's really hard for me to I mean, I was the same way when I was in my band. Like, I wrote the songs, I would spend, weeks, months, however long, working on the stuff with my bandmates. We'd eventually record this stuff, we'd do it painstakingly, we'd spend so much time and energy and money, and we'd have this beautiful record made, and I would never listen to it. Because if I did, all I would hear is, like, my voice, like, scratching away at my brain and all this stuff. So, like, I couldn't hear the pieces not moving,
Definitely.
But, I can watch the shows and appreciate my peers' work. Like Sarah and Reagan and Susie and everybody else on the show, like they've all given me moments when I can go back and watch it and I can take myself out of it, and they make me laugh and cry and spit up my drink that I'm having. And, it's like that's the gift more than anything, is to know that I'm surrounded by people that I really admire their work, and I get to play in that sandbox with them. And I think more about like moving forward with as much like intention and trying to just be better and better every time. Like, we have this movie coming up, and we've had the last almost 3 years of people getting to meet you guys, traveling around, getting to share this, so much outside of our space making it. And it only makes me want to dig in even harder and go even crazier, every time we get back into the booth. So it's a never-ending kind of journey.
Yeah, definitely. And Sarah, what about yourself? I know, actors, you go back to it, and you're like...
She's like, I love my shit.
Actually, I have a clip saying...
Like, I'll speak for this guy.
Gonna be honest with you, I got so lost in this journey that I don't even remember what the question was.
Is there any...
The ADD is strong.
Is there any like moment you go back to, or like an audition that comes to mind where you're like, yeah, I did real good, or like you'll go back and watch a clip and you're like, oh yeah.
Right, okay, I see how we got to that point. Okay. I mean, I think there's a few characters where I was just like, you are mine. You're very pretty and I will have you. But I didn't, I wouldn't be like, this is my, that audition was fire. I would just be like, I'm just going in with as much intention with this. But I did end up getting those ones where I was like, yep, that's mine. But yeah, I have a hard time listening back to things without being like,
Yeah, that's the hardest. In a weird way, I feel like when I record auditions, if I spend time listening back to them too much, I end up actually sabotaging myself, and I'll re-record too many things, or I'll second guess too much. And weirdly enough, with Denji, I was in so much denial that even when I got the audition, I thought that it was sent by accident. So I was like, I'm not supposed to see this. Oh shit, I shouldn't send this in. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Did you email your agent and be like, hey?
No, I called Caitlin.
Oh, you called
I called Caitlin Glass. If you guys know Caitlin Glass, she's an amazing actor.
Goodness.
But she directs a lot of stuff for Crunchyroll, and she's an amazing actor. And I was like, I felt like I trusted that she wasn't directing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's a safe call where I can just be like, I need a safe space. I was like, hey. So I didn't even say what it was, and she knew, but I was like, I got this audition, and I don't think I'm supposed to see it. And I was like, honestly, I don't, if I send it in, I don't, want to get anybody in trouble or get blacklisted, I don't know, and she's like, just, dude, just send it in, you really would be dumb not to.
Yeah.
And so normally when I get an audition, I tend to, record it pretty quickly and send it pretty quickly, unless I let myself get in my own head about it.
Right? Yep, same.
But with Denji, part of it was I genuinely did not think it was even going to be entertained for me. And the other part was, this is the only chance I'll get to sit with him. So this weird level of they're never gonna pick me, and also I just want to say these words for a minute. So and being a fan, I had read the manga way before the show ever got announced, so I was a super nerd already. It was the only time in recent memory that I fell in love with a story this deeply, or felt for a main character in a way that I just it wasn't I want to be him, it was I want to protect him, I want to be there for him, And so I do the audition, and I didn't send it out. I just did it, and then I let it sit on my computer for 3 or 4 days, which is insane, because
they're just sitting
everyone
there
else is
waiting.
sending that shit in too. So,
Right.
you know, they're already being like, yep, picking all these people.
Yeah.
And then I finally, I went and I listened back to it, which I normally don't let myself do.
Oh my god, I found my audition too a while back.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, oh no.
And I almost went back to re-record something, and then I like stopped myself, and I was like, you know what? This is what felt right in the moment. This is who he was to me. And this is, what am I gonna do? Keep doing it over? Like, I'm just gonna send it out. They're not gonna pick me anyway.
And you got it, and here we are now.
Yeah.
And so how was the audition process for you? Like, was it similar? Is it something different about how you approached it?
It was pretty similar actually. I didn't know anything about Chainsaw Man before, prior to Ryan mentioning it months prior to, and then it appearing. I was like, wait a minute. Actually, when I first saw her, I thought she would have a deeper voice. Like, you know, I don't know, just like a lot more mature. Usually my process is that I will not go look at the trailer because I think I'll get too in my head about trying to sound or emulate the original voice actor too, which is like, it's not English and it won't sound right either way, and then
Right.
translated over, and then you're just like too in your head about being someone else's version of that character. And I feel like I book more when I just try to put my best version forward without any of that. But this is the one instance I feel like if I just looked at the trailer, it would have guided me to just do my normal crap, you know what I mean? Like I would have been like, oh, gremlin energy right off the bat, okay. But I did like 3 versions of it, and at first I did mature, and I was like, I don't know, something about that. And then I did like high, and like that's also not right. And then I did the 3rd one, which was like more gremlin, and then I went and listened to the trailer. I'm like, should have done that one. Started, what was I doing? But I had a very similar energy of being like, this 1,000 of people probably auditioning for this is good luck seeing this. Probably won't even.
No, but
My favorite thing too is for a long time after the first season had dropped out, when we're doing panels with other voice actors who aren't part of the show, anybody who was seeing the auditions for Power, they would always say, oh, we all knew it would be Sarah. Because it's just like inevitable that her energy was just matched for this.
That got me. Whenever people are just, I was doing my best Sarah Wiedenheft impression. I was like, are you
Yeah.
freaking serious?
no, but I think I speak for everybody here when we say that like it was meant to happen, and we're glad it happened. And speaking about the people out there, yeah, let's give a round of applause, guys. It's like,
Now that we're candid.
but speaking about it all out there, I know we have some questions, right here. Right, sure. Nice, loud, and proud.
Oh yeah, you know, thank you so much. It's one of those, it's just stuck to it, I gotta cut it. No, there's like a string on one of my pant legs. It's like, no, I appreciate you letting me know. It's like part of the pants, I gotta just...
Yeah, leave it.
I live like a pirate, just things get attached to me and, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I think in general, I mean, you know, AI really just needs to be regulated and you know, put under contractual protections like as soon as possible, because not even just speaking for what we do specifically in the entertainment world at large, like every single job under this sun, you know, can be automated to some degree. You know, it is, we're in a very strange time where if this stuff isn't controlled, the future could look really scary and strange. But I am choosing to be optimistic and, you know, continue to hope that these can be controlled and then used as tools to benefit, you know, where that may take animators hours and hours and hours and weeks and months to have to reanimate mouths or whatever. And there are some studios that are doing that now, where they're even. Well, that was the thing that you're talking about. Well, that was full blown where like, that basically is like, we wouldn't even matter anymore. Like, that's the kind of thing where like, they weren't hiring other actors and stuff. That was, I don't know if what you're referring to is the clip when they're up on the thing and, yeah, and they did it in a bunch of different languages, and they did it in a bunch of different, yeah, they also did it though where then you hit a button and it's like, now she's French, now she's Spanish, now, so like, it's real weird right now. I mean, you know, the actual quality of this stuff still isn't like, you know, perfect to the point where, you know, a discerning ear can tell the difference, but people who don't care, you know, they're not gonna really give a crap if it's a real person or an AI performance. And that ultimately, you know, the people like the shareholders running a lot of this stuff who are making money off of it, who aren't really caring about the art of it or the people involved in making it, they're just happy to put money in their pockets. So we're in a really weird time. I personally really don't love any of it, you know, because instead of it being something that could really be unique and beneficial and used as a creative tool, it's really just being used to steamroll art in its entirety. I mean, every form of art is being bastardized and stolen and used without permission and used to do and say and frame things in ways that they never would. And it's a weird, scary time when, you know, I mean, you know, someone could technically videotape this and have me doing and saying all kinds of things that I'm not. Like, we're there now, and that's, you know, we're in a strange time. So I would love to be like more positive about it, you know, but I mean, it's a really, I mean, we're in the middle of a video game strike right now because, you know, one of the things that is continuous is that there is a huge issue with getting protection of our voices when we record these projects. And, you know, I didn't get into this to, you know, say a couple things and be like, you guys do what you want with that, I'll just go sit at home. Like, I love acting, I love doing it, you know, so I don't want to just like talk into a thing for an hour and then be like, if you could change that to whatever you want later, great, like I'm done. You know, I want to keep showing up and challenging myself and feeling those feelings and helping other people feel those feelings. I know it's a complicated answer, but I appreciate the question.
Yeah, my want is for, I feel like AI should be helping us with things that we don't want to do, not taking things that we want more time for. You know, like, do my laundry, fold my laundry for me, clean my dishes. I don't know. There's just don't take art from us. Like, that's the one thing that makes us so human, is everything that we put forth, the passion that we put into those things. And so when you start to erase that, you're losing so much of us, you know?
Yeah,
it's a little heavy, but on a brighter note, it helps with references in art. So, you know, there's a balance in it. Like, it's hard to try to draw a hand in a specific way, and having those little AI model things you can move around, sure, that's cool. And that helps you make things on your own too. But yeah, it's a push and pull, you know? Help us be better with ourselves.
Yeah, and it can't take away.
And to my laundry, please.
It can't take away the heart that y'all like bring into it. So like, no one sees that replacing you on any way anytime soon. And of course, you know, like the regulation, like you mentioned. But at the end of the day, you know, we stand tall through it. Do we have any other questions? One right here. Saw your hand go up real quick.
My favorite line that she says, it's when they are at the udon place and Power's trying to get like news out of Himeno, and she goes, "Speak, harlot. Either you and Denji copulated yestereve, or you're lying."
So good. I struggled between a few because, oh my gosh, she put so many Shakespearean lines for Denji. But today, I'm really loving the testicle devil went ape shit on his nuts.
A testicle devil appeared and went apeshit on his nutsack, man.
The first time that sentence was ever spoken.
And I
was
had
on that show.
I had a thought today too after that. I was like, and it probably does exist, but not then. Obviously it was a lie, but if it did, that would mean that someone out there, or enough people out there, are afraid of testicles so much that there is a devil.
Listen, man, the first episode, we see the tomato devil. If we got a tomato devil, you know we got a testicle
You
devil.
know we do.
But he's in Jersey, so.
And I just love that Augie had to reaffirm that he was lying. Because it cannot be that one night.
Do we have one more question right
Thank you.
there?
That's so good.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what's funny? I was talking about it with Sarah Natacheni. We were just in Australia together a few weeks ago, and I was telling her how it was one of the harder jobs that I've ever had dubbing, because Pokemon is such a specific tone, performance-wise, that I don't normally like sit in. You know, it is like kind of Saturday morning cartoon, but kind of grounded, but kind of like you're talking to a little kid, but kind like it's like, and also very big and bright, and like I feel like I did the most takes on lines like than I have on any other project for whatever reason on that one episode of Pokemon. It was like so hard for me. He was like this like surfer bro, and he was like teaching the kids how to like work with their Vaporeon, and like it was, I was like, I was just so out of my element, and it's so funny because I grew up on Pokemon, but I found it like in a really cool way. I was like, oh, this is really like challenging, and Lisa, thankfully, who's been directing it for so long, like she really understands how to balance that tone, so she really helped me like find the fine line. But it was a really unique kind of like, I remember I was sweating in there.
We have time for one more, y'all. So I saw yours go up first, right here, right in the back, orange band. Yep. Oh yeah, you, yeah. Yeah, you. Scream it from the rooftops.
I just got one quick question. Out of all the characters that y'all have voiced in like the many years that y'all have done,
Sure, not Benny.
So old.
any characters that practically match y'all's personalities? If so, who it is?
I mean, I think probably the closest is for me is a character named Rhodey, who was in the My Hero Academia film. I mean, because I actually do connect a lot with Denji too, but he is admittedly a lot more aggressive and rough around the edges than I am. And I've been pretty feral, but I feel like I definitely relate to street urchin energy, you know? There's something about like, I've always kind of been, I mean, Aladdin was my guy when I was a kid. I've always, and I've been in places of like, you know, needing to kind of be in survival mode or have to kind of hunker down like that. And I've always appreciated that kind of resourcefulness. And I think Rhodey has a really cool kind of, he goes with the flow, even though he knows, you know, things could be better. He still finds a way to find the joy in it, you know? And I try to operate that way too.
I have a hard time with this because I can't really find too many, because I feel like I can relate to a lot of the characters I've done in
Parts of
some
them,
way.
yeah.
It's like they're a mosaic of myself.
It's
like-
weird, that's a really good way to put it, because so much of it is like, certain characters that you play will bring out certain parts of your personality or tap into parts of you that you haven't like expressed before, and suddenly this thing is showing you a part of yourself.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find characters where you're like, oh, that's exactly me.
Yeah.
You know.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think maybe Toru from Dragon Maid is the closest I can think of, just because she has so many moments of just being grounded, and overall she becomes a good person. I wasn't always a good person. I'm kidding. I've always been very nice.
That's where the power stuff comes in.
But she goes from like 0 to 100 sometimes, and she'll go into gremlin energy, and so I can see that one being a little bit closer, but you know, I don't turn into a dragon. Just kind of sucks.
With technology, who knows?
And just to wrap this whole thing up, is there anything that y'all want to plug? I know you mentioned you had a band out. Maybe there's something like you want to throw out there and let all these people know. Maybe there's something beautiful y'all are working on.
Oh gosh, I feel like I did one of those things recently. This industry is so funny, where like you'll work on projects, like a bunch of different projects throughout a few different months, and then they'll all come out at the same time. So like in the last week, I think I announced like 4 different shows.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't seen Moonrise on Netflix, that just came out. The Rose of Versailles is going to come out on the 30th. There's a dub of Sensuality Noir that just came out. A bunch of stuff. I mean, we're going to be working on this movie eventually, which I cannot freaking wait for. I'm so excited. How many of you have read the manga? Oh yeah. And for those of you who haven't, you have no idea what you're about to experience. It's going to be crazy. No, it's a joy to be able to do this and connect with you guys. And we're going to be here for the rest of the weekend hanging, so come chat with us. And yeah, we'll be here to hang.
Alrighty, awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Ryan Colt Levy and Sarah Wiedenheft. Come on, guys, they're going to be here all weekend, and they want to see you. Come on, give them that 956 send up, y'all. Make some noise.